gambling, usually a bad idea, except if you know the exact RNG state and you know that buying that specific coronet twice is definitely worth it. So how did I do that? Let me show you. When you see this exact item selection on a level 92 character in Hell, you refresh 7 times. Then you will see exactly this screen where you buy the Katar, refresh 47 more times, buy the short spear, 10 more refreshes, buy a ring, 2 more refreshes, and another ring. See this cap? The second one you buy will be unique and upgraded, so you receive... Wait, I wanted a Shako. Yeah, so the odds of getting a Shako are about 1 in 40,000, making it about 10 times rarer than a peasant crown. Knowing the RNG state doesn't make these very rare events any less rare. It just allows us to predict when exactly they happen. So yes, you can get a Shako or any other item. It just requires hundreds of clicks. So how am I doing that? I didn't mod the game, and I'm not cheating by reading memory or anything like that either. I'm just looking at the available items, and that gives me enough information in single player games to fully determine the state of the RNG. Then we try all 4 billion seeds to see which one gives us the outcome we saw in the game. And that can then be manipulated by refreshing and buying in just the right order. So how can you do the same? You need to know 2 things. The seed used for gambling and the exact algorithm the game uses for gambling items to predict and brute force search trajectories that lead to good outcomes. Easy. The game has a long list of base items sorted by quality level, and your level decides a cutoff point. So when gambling at a low level, you see early game items, and as you level up, the available items grow and grow. Let's say you're level 6. Then these are the items in the pool. There's a random offset of a few levels applied to make higher level items show up gradually. It always picks a ring and an amulet, then 12 more items at random. If an exceptional version of the item exists and its quality level is below your effective gambling level, then it attempts to upgrade it. Item quality level is just an inherent property of items. For example, a cap has quality level 1. Its exceptional version is a warhead, quality level 34. And elite is a Shako, quality level 58. The probability of an upgrade increases by about 0.9% per level. So at level 99, about 58% of caps will be upgraded to warheads. Next, it attempts to upgrade the item to elite, but only if the exceptional roll failed. It's the same logic, but the probability is about 10x lower. So at level 99, it's still only a 5.6% probability for a Shako. And the final step, it picks a rarity. Only 1 in 2000 items is unique. Repeat that 14 times, and that's it. Now we only need to simulate all possible 4 billion seeds, build a lookup table, and we can turn the item selection back into a seed. Easy, except that it all depends on your level. I could probably get each lookup table down to about 20 gigabytes, but have you looked at SSD prices recently? So the cheap way, brute force it in the browser. It's reasonably fast. I'm doing most of my reverse engineering work on classic Diablo 2. There are no annoying anti-reverse engineering features in there. You can easily inspect memory of the running game, inject code, and call functions. It's very convenient. But of course, no one really cares about the old game nowadays. I need this to work in Diablo 2 Resurrected. It should be using the exact same code. So it should just work. And it mostly did. I could get the seed. But once I clicked refresh, it stopped working. There was some mysterious offset in the RNG stream on the first refresh that varied a bit between games. Turns out that for some reason the vendor inventory is also initialized after opening gambling for the first time in Diablo 2 Resurrected. That doesn't happen in the old game. And how many RNG rolls it consumes isn't constant. So I had to implement the whole vendor item generation logic as well. It's also dependent on the difficulty. That's the only reason my tool asks you for game difficulty. So why are we only halfway through the video? Well, it still doesn't work for Reign of the Warlock. Why? Because the item pool got updated. You can't gamble items that roll class-specific skills. And now daggers can roll Warlock skills. So those have been removed from the item pool. Easy fix. Just remove them from our list and we are done. Well, I tried that. It didn't work. Something else must have changed. But I got the list straight from the game files, so it must be accurate, right? The set of items also matched what I saw in the game, so I definitely didn't miss anything. Let's take another look at our list. The RNG call doesn't output an item directly, it outputs an index into this list. And I got the exact order of items from a memory dump of Diablo 2 Classic. What if the order is different in Reign of the Warlock? But why would it be different? Just want to remove a few items. It shouldn't change anything. To understand that, we need to look at something completely different. But I promise, this is connected and it explains everything. So I extracted a bunch of item graphics for my web app and opened that folder in my file explorer. They're in this weird blizzard.sprite format that I can't use directly. I found a tool to convert them to PNGs. Looks good, but what an unordered mess. Let's sort them by name. Much better. But now all the unreadable sprite files are mixed up with my PNGs. So sort by file type next. Perfect. Note how everything is still sorted by name, even though I just sorted it by type. You have probably used this behavior in your file explorer, but did you ever question why that works? It could just mix up the file names completely and it would technically be correct, but very annoying. Does it remember that you sorted by name before that? It doesn't have to. There are so-called stable sorting algorithms that will preserve the old order if you have entries that have the same sort order, like different file types. Seems like a useful property. So why wouldn't you always use such an algorithm? Well, they tend to be a tiny bit slower than algorithms that don't guarantee that. How does classic Diablo 2 sort items? It calls qsort from Microsoft's C standard library, which implements quicksort. Quicksort is, well, quick, but it's not stable. Well-designed programming languages and APIs offer both and make it clear which properties any given sorting function guarantees. The C standard library is just a historic mess. Fun fact, Linux uses merge sort here, which is stable. So that would not have been a problem on Linux. But it also means that sorting on Linux is slightly slower. So they tried to change that a few years ago. But guess what? Too many programs relied on it being stable. So they couldn't go through with it and they are stuck with slightly slower sorting. But Diablo 2 is written in C++. So why does it use the C standard library? Well, the useful parts of the C++ STL were only standardized in '98. And Diablo 2's development probably started way before that. Okay, so I just tricked you into learning a bit of computer science. Back to Diablo 2. Here's the correct item pool for Reign of the Warlock, all shuffled around within the quality level bands, just because a few items got removed. And finally, we are done. I packaged it up as a web app. Link is in the description down below. Just reconstruct the initial item selection you see, and it will brute force your game seed in like a minute or so. Once that's done, you can search for specific items and get exact instructions for gambling them. One last thing. Unlike my previous videos about maps, this only works in single-player games. I just can't figure out the game seed in neither Diablo 2 Resurrected nor in classic Diablo 2 on Battle.net. And I don't know why. Sure, the obvious idea here is that the server runs Linux and the sorting algorithm is different, but that's not it. I've tried to brute force search all possible orders that don't get any matches. I've even implemented a second method to find the game seed. The vendor inventory also has enough randomness. That doesn't work either. As far as I can tell, the online servers use a different RNG. It's not only that getting the seed doesn't work. The rare items you get, no matter whether they are from gambling or drops, are often impossible in single-player games. Like, look at these stats. It's nothing special, sure, but you could never get that exact combination in single-player. There is simply no RNG state that would ever generate these exact stats. Yet I have this on Battle.net, so what's going on? Anyhow, I'm kind of glad that it doesn't work, because I'm not sure I could publish these findings if it worked online. Offline, sure, it's a fun and honestly rather useless trick. But online? Apparently people pay real money for these items? Like, why and don't? So that's it for this video. A neat and somewhat useless trick. But I had fun figuring it out. And if you like this type of content, maybe consider subscribing, maybe consider leaving a like.